Brick walls are frustrating. I've broken through dozens, but I have even more that I've been staring at for years. In this quick video, I'll share one method of breaking through a brick wall and provide an illustrative example. Quick version: if you run into a dead end with an ancestor, investigate their friends, associates, and neighbors. It's also known as fan. This method is especially helpful when you think your ancestor moved from one place to another, but you don't have enough data to prove it, and there are multiple candidates with matching names, births, family sizes in multiple locations. People didn't emigrate alone. They moved with extended family and friends. So if you find the same community in two different places, you've probably found your ancestor. Now, fan research is intended to be systematic and thorough, and I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever done a full-blown version of this. I get bored of investigating dozens of people in different places. But I found a lightweight version of this method to be effective. People don't loan money to strangers or ask them to witness their will or sponsor their child at a baptism. They choose people that matter to them, and tracking those non-family members that matter to your ancestor can connect the gaps in your tree. I have trouble explaining this without giving a modern example. I really think this drives it home. If you look at my marriage license, you'll see a man named David Hahn was a witness. If you were researching my or my wife's tree, however, you wouldn't find any Hahns at all, let alone David. Dave and I met in kindergarten. We were in school together through high school. Our families shared holiday meals together. We invited each other to our weddings, and we've tried to maintain our friendship for most of the last 4 decades, even though for the past 2 decades, we've lived nearly 3,000 miles from each other. Dave Hahn matters to me. And if you were trying to connect that marriage record for the Michael O'Neill in Seattle to the many, many Michael O'Neills born in New Jersey in the 1970s, finding Dave Hahn in Princeton, New Jersey would help you find me. Anyway, in my lightweight fan method, you're looking for your ancestor's Dave Hahn. Now let me give you a real genealogy example. The Jacob Slough, whose will was probated in York County, Pennsylvania in 1788. There are no other records of this man in York County, Pennsylvania. He must have moved there just before his death. But his will mentions 2 bonds owed by a Frederick Laubach of Lower Saucon Township in Northampton County, Pennsylvania. I dug through all of my Slough family records. I spent almost 2 years researching the Slough family from 1700s Pennsylvania. I found a random 1779 probate file for a Henry Kratzer from Northampton County, Pennsylvania, in which he named his neighbors as Jacob Slough, Reinhard Laubach, and Frederick Laubach. That's the same name as the fellow who owed money to the Jacob Slough who died in York County, Pennsylvania. That's pretty good, but I didn't feel that one reference was quite enough, especially considering there were 2 Jacob Sloughs in the Lower Saucon area. They were first cousins, in fact. I wanted a bit more to figure out exactly which one moved to York County. Turns out that a fellow named Christian Laubach was one of the men who took the estate inventory of Philip Slough, whose 1750s probate proceedings ended with his son Jacob taking possession of Philip's farm. It was time to research Christian Laubach, and his 1769 will named his son Frederick as the recipient of his real estate. That same Frederick Laubach was living next door to Jacob Slough in 1779. That was enough for me. Christian Laubach's son, Frederick, inherited Frederick's farm in Lower Saucon Township. Philip Slough's son, Jacob, inherited his farm in Lower Saucon Township as well. Jacob Slough and Frederick Laubach were neighbors, meaning their fathers were neighbors, meaning Jacob and Frederick knew each other from childhood. The Jacob Slough, who died 100+ miles away in York County, Pennsylvania, mentioned he loaned money to Frederick Laubach, suggesting a high degree of trust between the 2 men. And that neatly ties the York County Jacob Slough to the one living in Lower Saucon Township, the son of Philip Slough. In short, Jacob Slough and Frederick Laubach were neighbors just like their fathers, meaning the 2 men had known each other their entire lives. Frederick Laubach was to Jacob Slough as Dave Hahn is to me, at least from a genealogical perspective. And that connection helped me prove the genealogy of the Jacob Slough who died in York County. I hope you enjoyed this 5-minute genealogy video. Please subscribe to my channel and give a thumbs up. If you've got any feedback or suggestions, please leave them in the comments.